Hot sports all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. Hot sports all plays. Network. Hot sports all plays. Network. We on top of our game. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
What's up? What's up? Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Kenny Moore, and I'm here with my guys. First, we got my man Jay Ness. Jay Ness, good with you.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So how's everything, Jay?
Hold on.
Talk to the people. Welcome to the show.
Jay might be dealing with them technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's what happens. So anyway, let's get to. We got to welcome back the young gunner. We got to welcome back the young gunner. He had to take care of some business with school, but he's back. Chris Brown, welcome back. How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. I'm glad to be back. I miss chopping it up with you guys. You know, there's a lot of things that I've been seeing going on in the sports world that I'm like, man, this would be some great, you know, content me and my guys could put out. But I'm glad I'm back. I'm back at the right time. You know, the draft is coming up, you know, in a week and some change. You have the playoffs coming up a week and some change. So we get to definitely talk about some real things when it comes to sports. Like I said, man, I'm glad to be back with the fellas because we was having a good time. You know, I had to take that, you know, little break to get some things situated, but it's all good. And I'm back better than ever.
Yes, sir. We got Jay back. Jay, welcome. How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm feeling good. I gotta get over these little technical difficulties that we've been having, but you know, we in here ready to talk some sports, get things rolling. Happy to see Chris back in action. You know,
happy to be back with the guys, man. I missed it.
Sir.
It's been a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And shout out to our guy Freddie. He wanted to be on tonight, but he has some family issues. So we're gonna definitely shout him out and send prayers up for his family, no doubt.
Yes, sir.
So listen, let's get right to it. Our first topic tonight, you know, Eddie George and Deion Sanders were both hired at HBCUs, and so you know we want to talk about that, and we're gonna start with that. So. Does these hiring former pros, will that now start to trickle down to the Power 5 conferences hiring more African-American coaches? And since we have an HBCU current student, we definitely got to go to him first and get his perspective. So go ahead, Chris. Floor is yours.
Indeed. I attend Lincoln University, the first degree granted HBCU. I have legacy there. My mom went there. Now she teaches there. My great-great-grandfather went there. So here's the thing about HBCUs, man. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent at these schools from every single, you know, athletic team. I'm talking about basketball, football, track and field, whatever sport you want to think about. HBCUs have talent. But just, you know, speaking on football, you know, I'm a Division II team, but we look at teams at like Division I, right? You see what Deion Sanders has done this year. His recruiting class he brought in, the environment change that he brought in. And I think we need to see more of that because you have a lot of athletes going to, you know, some D1 schools and they're turning out HBCUs because they think they don't have an opportunity to go pro. Then you look at a lot of Division I schools and they have a whole bunch of talent and not a lot of people seeing the field because nobody wants to take a chance at HBCU. So I look at what Deion Sanders has. Did he say, listen, I'm going to bring the exposure. One, not even talk about what he did in the NFL, how dominant that was. When you talk about coaching, you saw his track record when he was coaching in high school. So now you're getting an experienced coach. But if you want to add in all the exposure he's bringing from the NFL, that's helping the school as well, and it's helping the players, putting them on a platform to be successful. So when I look at what he's doing, I'm looking at and I'm looking at what Eddie George is about to do. I need to see more, player coaches, African American coaches going to these HBCUs and really turning things around, leveling out the playing field, so we won't see, a whole bunch of players going to Alabama, then guys, not playing until they last year. A whole bunch of guys, going to these other D1 schools and not playing until last year. Give them an opportunity to go to HBCU, be a couple year starter, and be able to go to the NFL. Because once you see these top Division I HBCUs getting the right talent so they can compete with these other schools, then you're going to see you're going to see more balance in the NCAA. Once these HBCUs get the talent that they deserve, the balance throughout the NCAA when it comes to football and all the other sports is going to be successful. Then when it goes to players being hired as coaches, I want to see that more. I want to see more former players being on these coaching staffs to be able to give these college students the advice that they need, especially the ones going pro, even the ones not going pro. Just being able to relate to them, the college experience, being able to tell them what you should do, how you should train, how you should work, how to be successful. I think there needs to be more of that in the locker room because when you're an athlete, you like to hear from former athletes because they've been down the same road you're trying to go down. So I feel like we need to see more African American coaches, more big time coaches going to these HBCUs to get more players at these HBCUs, and we need to see more player coaches. We need to see a shift in the NCAA, that football program, so it won't be the same 4 or 5, 6 teams we're waiting to see come playoff time. It's cool to watch all these teams, during their regular season, but come playoff time, the NCAA is only going to throw them 4 or 5, 6 teams in there like they usually do.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I agree with you a lot on that. I mean, with everything that went on last year, the rioting, a lot of the protests and everything, it brought a lot of light to, what we were missing with the HBCUs. And it's not just, the hirings, it's also the talent actually going there and believing that they have a platform available to take it to the next level. So I think that the Deion move was fantastic on leaps and bounds of levels. Because to me, I mean, out of a lot of the guys that have made it, you have your Ray Lewis's, you have your Deion Sanders, you have these guys who have been through something on their way up and made it, and then not only just made it, but overperformed, and superseded what expectations were. Hall of Fame talent, champions. And so that alone, going to an HBCU for these young cats that are also coming, a lot of these guys are coming from the same type of environments and we need that next level of introducing them into it, so we don't have the Jameis Winston issues. We don't have the Cam Newton issues. We don't have those type of, Clarnett, what I mean? We don't have these issues. There's more guidance out there. So not only just on a level of building up the HBCU colleges, but also building up our young youth in the right manner as well. You know what I mean? Like there's levels to it. And I think that the Deion Sanders one was definitely a ring of the bell. Like, yo, start your engines type of message.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we seen Eddie George coming in, here recent. And, going to the whole players coach thing, I honestly believe that we do need more. And I also believe that a bit of a selfishness needs to happen. Less selfishness needs to happen. So a lot of these guys want to go and strive for the NFL, which I understand. But instead of spending 5 years, as a wide receiver coach, go spend 5 years and put in some work for our youngsters real quick, and then come and shift over, and like I said, it's going to take some unselfishness for these guys to really see and believe and send that message that that's what we're moving forward to, to add some more. So I really think this right here is the start of something that I hope takes off. And, we see more and more signings like this coming up.
Yeah, I think you guys both make great points. And I think the biggest thing is, like, we're talking about the HBCUs, but I think it needs to go even further. I think these Power Five conferences need to start
Definitely.
hiring. Actually, I believe Deion Sanders should have got the job at Florida State.
For
When that
sure.
became open, that should have really been should have been his job, and he wanted it. And he openly campaigned for it. So I think that was the opportunity. And I think I looked up a stat. They said there's 11% in the NCAA. There's 11% in terms of head coaches that are black. That is really that's just awful. There's over, I believe it's over 140 Division I football programs, and for that small of a percentage to be African American coaches is pathetic, because the majority of these teams are made up of African American ball players. So there needs to be more representation of African American coaches, especially in the Power Five conferences. The HBCUs are great, but really, I think what's going to change the tide is when a Power Five conference, like a SEC team, somebody in the SEC, somebody in the Big Ten, although those conferences that are always, because Chris, what you were saying earlier about, they're going to pick the same four teams when it comes to the I forgot what they call the tournament, but anyway, they're going to pick, it's going to be those same teams from those big conferences. And when it's a black head coach that is leading those teams, that's what's really going to make the difference and really get us, the representation that we need.
I want to take it a step deeper, man. Why is Alabama in it every year? Why do we have continuously Ohio State? Why do we have these guys, every year in it? And it's our players.
That's right.
And so let's not make Alabama stay there with the head coach, with a black head coach. That's cool. Let Nick Saban have that. Let's go to Grambling. Let's go to Morgan State. Let's go to Tennessee State. Let's go to Southern U. Let's go to these colleges, do better recruiting, and get a good head coach over there. So now we have Alabama with 2 losses.
I see your point.
We have Ohio State with 2 losses.
Yeah.
And we got Grambling State knocking on the door.
Yeah.
We got Southern U knocking on the door. Morgan State. So, because to me, man, we talk about how these HBCUs are not getting the shine or not being, but our players aren't going there.
Yeah.
We can't complain about something that we ain't doing.
And they're not going there. Go ahead, Kenny.
No, I was gonna say I don't think it is that it's not that they're not going there. They're not getting that 5-star or that high level talent.
That's the ones we're talking about.
Yeah. So it started happening a little bit in basketball. We had the kid McCurr, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, go to Howard. He was a 5-star recruit. So, and Deion is going after these 5-star guys. He got his son to transfer from South Carolina. So I think that's, and you make a great point, is when those teams are starting to challenge and really move up in the rankings, I think that's probably what's going to happen. Because let's be, reality is that if we don't help ourselves, then you know what I'm saying, then we can't ask the Power Five conferences to help us if we're not investing. And another thing is that we got to invest in these HBCUs. Like I'm here, Chris.
What do we?
We got to invest in facilities. We got to invest in, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have that first class, because these kids, in order to get the talent there, you got to have the facilities. Like, these kids want to see the bells and whistles. They want to see, the stadiums that are packed to the rafters. Like, I'm here in Jacksonville, so I'm right in the middle of FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. So, they got to get that. They got to go to these. Yeah, you need that.
But at the same time, if we're gonna be out here marching it and preaching it, we got to start it. True. It ain't never gonna happen unless we go.
That's true.
If the 5-star recruits keep going to Ohio State and keep going to Alabama and keep going to USC and keep going to all these other colleges, we ain't gonna have no 5-star recruits.
That's true.
So yeah, there's three parts to this. Yes, we need some head coaches. I agree, Kenny, we could improve some facilities, but it starts with us.
That's true. Yeah.
Our kids growing up right now that are the next ones in line to go to college and fulfill their sports dreams. We need to be preaching this to them. But I guarantee when that time comes, probably 75% are going to put that Alabama, going to put that Florida, going to put, you know what I mean? Go put that USC in front of the child like, yo, this is the ones we need to go at. So I get it's a torn, situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Chris.
But it starts there.
There's a lot of people really don't understand that they don't trust the process. They look at schools like the USCs, like all these top schools that's been doing it for years, and they say, hey, I trust that more. But at the end of the day, we got to start trusting in ourselves and going to these HBCUs. And Kenny point, when it comes to, I don't talk about this comment right here. A lot of time it goes to IMG, so much high, they get plenty of offers from bigger schools. Yeah, I mean, when those prep schools, they want you to go to, it's like top school or bust. A lot of those prep schools. But when it comes to donating, it needs to be more diversity in donating to HBCUs. When you usually hear a donated, and this is coming from a guy that attends the HBCU, when you usually hear a donation's been made to HBCU, you got Howard, you got Spelman, you got Hampton,
Morehouse,
but then there's hundreds of HBCUs that's not getting the proper donations. And so when you look at a team like a school like North Carolina AT&T, one of the biggest HBCUs in a division program, they got one of the best track in Division I. I'm not talking about just HBCUs, one of the best track teams in Division I, a great football team, a really good basketball team. They need more donations. These schools that are in these big Division I conferences, they need more donations. And then it comes with the exposure. So you got to have the right head coach, but they need the right exposure. We're in a social media era now, so you don't have to be on TV, necessarily all the time. But these schools need more exposure, so these top athletes can be able, they need to be able to see it to believe it. We just can't tell them to go to HBCU, but they're not seeing HBCU. They're not, seeing the benefits, that they would get from going to HBCU. Exactly. They just hear people saying, you need to go here, you need to go here. But why? Because if you tell a kid you need to go to Kentucky, you need to go to Duke, you need to go, to Gonzaga, they see, why they should go there. They see the benefits. When it comes to HBCU, a lot of kids don't see the benefits. So, me personally, the kids, I don't want to call them kids because I'm only 20, but my friends I know that's still in high school, I try to encourage them to go to HBCUs, and I'm in an HBCU, so I can tell them the benefits they would get from going to HBCU rather than going to all these other schools. And I think we need more of that. We need more people to telling these athletes the benefits they would gain from going to HBCU rather than just saying you need to go. They need to be convinced, because this is something that we've yet to really see. We have Hall of Famers and these football, MLB, NBA that's went to HBCUs, but they need to be able to be convinced of the now why they should go.
And it's messed up because most people can't even name 10 HBCUs.
Right,
they can't.
Right,
and I can't blame them per se because they're not seeing it. They don't like they know that they know. Like I said, they all know Howard. They all know the ones with famous,
right. Because they get the game, Grambling and Southern, that game comes on NBC every year, and that was my point. Is the media has to start covering these HBCU games. Like they need to be on ESPNU or ESPN2 or or ESPN News. Like the same way they have these ACC networks, these SEC networks that gets all of these games on. It needs to be an HBCU network.
It needs to be promoted more because I'm pretty sure that there are ones. There's no exposure, like you said. There's no exposure,
and that's why they go to these Power 5 schools, because they know that they're going to get the exposure, and then they know that they're going to be on TV. They know they're going to be seen by scouts. In the HBCUs, they got to get the scouts to come to games because they're not getting on, network television. So I think that's another big step is that, and I noticed that, Deion's games, his games have been televised, but they need to show, it can't just be his games only. It has to be conference. Like they got to really align themselves. The network needs to align themselves to a conference and show all of their games. I think that's really important. So let's move on. We're still talking coaches, And so we had a lot of moves in the NFL in terms of head coaches, and we got new head coaches on new teams. So who do you think is going to be the head coach that has the best record next season? I'll go to Jay first, and then Chris, you could jump in.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. That's a hard one. I want to say Urban Myers. Just the success he's had, the football brain he is, and he's a player's coach to me. You know what I mean? Like the teams that he's had, I mean, I really see players buy into Urban, like real deep. So I want to say Urban Meyer. It's just that Jacksonville roster is the Jacksonville roster. So, and I don't think they've done enough
in free agency.
Yeah,
they haven't really done anything. But I mean, Philadelphia too. That's probably going to be my pick at the end of the day, because they do have a better squad. Coming out of last year and leading into this year, by default, they got a better team. So I think he picks up a better hand at it. So I'm gonna say Philadelphia, but I want to say Urban Meyer.
Gotcha. Okay, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Philadelphia. I'm very critical of my team. And although I like some of the couple moves they were to make in free agency, the draft is key. And so after the draft, maybe my decision will change. But as of right now, I gotta go Brandon Staley, new coach of the Chargers. When I look at the Chargers, man, they've been able to win some games, but in my opinion, the top 3 safety in Derwin James hasn't even been on the field yet because he's been battling injuries. Fully healthy, this dude is a top 3 safety. He can play multiple positions, guard. He can really roam the field like not a lot of guys can do in the NFL. He can cover. He can go inside the box. So I definitely think when he's able to stay healthy, they have a top 15 pick this year. If they do that right, if they draft right, I really think the Chargers can honestly, they're not going to beat Kansas City for the number 1 team in that division, but I do think they can battle to be that second best team in that division, especially if they add the right weapons of offensive line around Justin Herbert. Because his rookie year, he did his thing. He was dominant with his so-and-so offensive line. He was able to really have a dominant rookie year. And so I think if this roster is able to stay healthy, if they're able to add the key necessary pieces, they'll be able to make a run, for the playoffs, be able to, really sustain themselves. Okay, we're not going to beat Kansas City, but we're really going to be right behind them. And don't get me wrong, I love my Eagles, but I'm looking at the Chargers and what they got, and maybe I'm just extra critical of my team, but I definitely think you really talk about, new hires as head coaches, and one thing about it, a lot of these guys have been hired to bad teams. Very bad teams that really didn't do a lot to change their roster. Like I like Jay the Urban Meyer pick. I wanted to go with them as well. But I think they didn't spend enough money. They have a lot of draft picks, but they didn't spend enough money to make. Exactly, they didn't make enough splashes. With them being bad and be able to offer more money, I would have overpaid for a couple of guys. Just I definitely would
I guess that's
for a short term, not a long term.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a short term. I'd overpay for a couple of guys for sure.
But there's some guys that are worth overpaying for.
That's what I'm saying. I would have definitely overpaid for some of those guys.
A 4-year thing, like when Calais Campbell went to that team, that defense completely changed. So you get a guy like that coming over there. For 4-year deal, I don't care. I'm gonna do it because this guy's gonna do so much on the field. It's gonna
change the culture.
It's gonna show these rookies what to do. So I agree with you.
Definitely would
I'm overpaying too.
Yeah.
Especially I'm bringing in a brand new quarterback, a brand new coach. And you can't come in with a brand new quarterback and brand new coach and bring the same old mood.
You can't do that.
Yeah. I think they had an opportunity. They missed an opportunity to make a splash.
Me too.
All of the pieces that they have to be, between the cap space, like you said, bringing in a new coach, got the number 1 pick, you're bringing in Trevor Lawrence, you had a chance to really make a splash because, living here in Jacksonville this is football country. Football is king down here, and they're dying for a competitive team to win. So, I was deciding, like, to me, it's between the Chargers and the Falcons.
I was liking that.
Those are the two that I was trying to decide between. And Atlanta, they got that veteran core.
Mhm.
You got those playmakers of Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, and Todd Gurley, and even what's my man from Alabama? He had a breakout season last year. Ridley. You got some weapons, but there's just that defense just does not.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Let's call it. The defense is terrible.
I just couldn't. So I'm with you. I'm going with the Chargers. Assuming that this top 15 pick is going to be on the defensive side and he's a playmaker.
I've seen him go corner.
Yeah,
I've seen him go corner.
It really, to me, honestly, it doesn't matter as long as it's a playmaker, somebody they can plug right in into the defense and make plays. You got Bosa on that defensive line and Ingram. You got those two bookends, and like you said, you got Herbert, you got Keenan Allen. You got, and you got a solid running back. So I think they have the most pieces in terms of being competitive. But my favorite coach out of all of the new coaches is the Jets coach. I love him. I love his energy. I love his passion, man. I love his energy. I think he's really going to come in and change the culture there. So, but again, he's in that same boat as Jacksonville to me. It's just not enough talent because, the question is who's going to be the best record next year. If we're going like down the line, it's probably a toss-up between Urban Meyer and Robert Saleh. But for next year, I got to go with the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, I'm not mad at you with that.
Yeah. So let's get one more coach question and then we'll move into the NBA. So, we saw Tom Brady win the Super Bowl last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After all of those years with New England, and we saw New England struggle with Cam Newton. So now the question is, who was more important to the Patriots run? Was it Bill Belichick or was it Tom Brady? Jay, you start, and then go ahead, Chris.
Fate. Fate, because Dad, I'm real with that.
Get up, yeah.
Bill Belichick was already building something crazy when he was in Cleveland, and the magic that he was even drumming up that final year there, but they didn't have that right piece. Then he comes over to New England. They can feel it. They can feel it. They can feel it. He doesn't have the right, and Drew Bledsoe is not no slouch.
There's he probably would have won with Drew Bledsoe. I think he would have won with Drew Bledsoe.
He probably would have. But here's the fate part. How many years did Tom Brady play 16 games?
Every year except for one.
So you don't just come into not only one of the greatest quarterbacks just like accidentally because your quarterback that you got everything in gets hurt. He stumbles on the field, never comes off again. And on Tom Brady's part, fate. Because Brady, you're what was it, 6th or 7th? 6th?
Oh, 6th round draft? Yeah, 6th round.
6th round draft pick? You're a 6th round draft pick, bro, and you're a quarterback. The chances of you seeing the field are about
very slim to none.
Slim, absolutely.
The chances of you making a team consecutive years are about this big.
That's right.
The chances of you not only getting on the field, but replacing one of the greats in Drew Bledsoe, even smaller. So I don't care about your talent at this point. The odds are so stacked against you, it's fate. Because without one or the other, man, it doesn't happen. It does not happen. And now, fast forward, anybody can say what they want about, Brady winning over in Tampa. But he's already got the juice. He already been with the Messiah. Now look who we went over to, Bruce Arians. So honestly, in their relationship, I can't pick one or the other. It's fate. It was supposed to happen. They needed each other.
Oh wait, hold up. This is real talk. You can't. You're not sliding with that. You're not sliding. You're not straddling the fence. You gotta pick one.
Then it has to be Belichick because he was already stirring up the pot. he was already sprinkling that magic around there. You know what I mean? Like it has to be Belichick then, because Brady wasn't supposed to happen. And like you said, he was gonna win with Drew. He was gonna win with Drew. It looked like it was going that direction.
Go ahead, Chris. You got your hand on your head.
Only because we're gonna talk about it later with the Warriors. But what I just saw, with my team, it definitely was heartbreaking. If we weren't on live, I'd be saying some things. But when it comes to this question, honestly, for me, I'm always going head coach over player. And when I look at the Patriots, for a while, the defense was the reason why they were so successful. It really wasn't Tom Brady. And, all shout out to Tom, because honestly, what he did against the Falcons made me respect him even more. I always say, he can be the greatest, when it comes to all the accomplishments. He's definitely not the most talented, but his heart and his competitive drive is, that's why I always respect that about him. And especially like I said, what he did, against the Falcons, for me, he gained all my respect. But, and I see a lot of people now switching up saying Tom Brady only because that, the Patriots didn't have the success, this year. But let's look at how bad the Patriots has been the past couple of years. They weren't the same dynasty, that they were. That they got lucky to beat the Chiefs. They got lucky to beat the Chiefs because the Chiefs got the ball first in overtime. The Chiefs were winning, or if they didn't call that ridiculous.
They had a lot of breaks during this run.
They had a lot of breaks. I understand why Jason's fate, because they had a lot of breaks. But, when it comes to these two, especially this current year, it's like you can't compare these two teams when Tom Brady, there's we don't really see a lot of super teams in the NFL. But if I was to say, everybody talk about the Chiefs, the Chiefs just have so many great players, it outweighs the bad players that they have because they got a lot of holes. The Buccaneers had a super team. I couldn't really see one hole on their roster. They had the quarterback, they had the running backs, they had the wide receivers, they had the tight ends, they had the offensive line, they had the defensive line, the linebackers, the defensive backs. They had everything.
And the other difference too on the Chiefs thing, it's like when they talk about Golden State before they got Durant. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs drafted that.
Yeah, exactly. The Chiefs drafted that. The Bucks drafted. Now I said this: the Bucks drafted a lot of those guys, but they brought in a lot of pieces.
They brought in Calvary.
They brought in Calvary.
Yeah.
And so it's like for
they
me,
did it through free agent. They were like almost like the Miami Heat version.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In the NFL.
They were like, we're taking our talents.
Yeah.
Taking our talents to Tampa, and it worked.
And it worked. Yeah.
It definitely worked. So shout out to Tom for winning that ring. But at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, you give Bill Belichick that same type of roster, he's winning with his eyes closed. Everything Bill Belichick mean, that quote unquote Patriot way, all the things Tom Brady, he's showing right now to Tampa, he learned from Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was able to keep this team afloat when they didn't have the best roster, and then it's like I got to give it to Bill. Shout out to Tom, but if you ask me more important, shout out, Tom Brady won, a couple of rings with his play, but more than half of those rings I'm giving to Bill because how dominant that defense was.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think it's Belichick because, like you said, two things. One, the personnel. Like he had guys playing over their heads, and that's a result of culture. That's a result of coaching. And we're gonna get into that a little later on the other side on basketball. But to me, Brady only affects one side of the ball. Mm-hmm. The only way that the rest of that team functions is because of Bill Belichick. Tom Brady cannot coach defense. Tom Brady can only, run the offense. He can't kick the ball. You know what I'm saying? He can't, make the defensive adjustments. He can't make the offensive adjustments. He can only affect one aspect of the game, whereas Bill Belichick affects all three aspects of the game because he's the head coach. He's the CEO of that franchise, on the field in terms of making all the decisions to make all of the pieces work. And, again, he just brings in guys that under the radar guys that you didn't, expect, the Malcolm Butlers of the world. The list goes on and on. The Wes Welkers, the Edelmans, even Tom Brady. And he finds those diamonds in the rough. And, he polishes them and then he brings them all together. And everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Everybody, the do your job mantra that, pervades the whole organization. And that doesn't happen without Bill Belichick.
Nope.
As talented as Tom Brady is, and that's this is no slight to Tom Brady because he's no question the GOAT in terms of of the quarterback position. But if there's there's no dynasty without Bill Belichick.
Nope.
So, Brady definitely gets his due. He gets his props. But, like you said, the kicker is basically he took everything that he learned from Belichick and the Patriots and brought that culture down to Tampa Bay, and look at the results. So basically you could say that Bill Belichick has his hands on 2 franchises.
Honestly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, his hands in a lot of franchises because he had a lot of guys coming from that coaching tree.
Well, they haven't done that well, the coaching tree. But in terms of the players, though, like you can't
just like a lot of the guys, that did end up leaving there towards the end of their career. Look at Richard.
Yeah, it gets him. And that's another thing is that he moves those guys. He knows, like he has a foresight in knowing that those guys are on their way to the decline. And he got them out of town before they hit, before they started going downhill.
A year too early before a year too late. Except for that thing with Chandler Jones. I didn't understand
that. Early on that.
We thank him so much. We still appreciate him. When he makes his way over here on an off day, I got some burgers.
Just make sure he stay off that ooh-wee, though.
Yeah.
No, but he didn't. He didn't know that was his only one that I could say that he lost on because he bet on Jonathan Cooper being good. And Jonathan Cooper, I think didn't he do one Pro Bowl with him? Didn't he have like one semi good, like almost a Pro Bowl?
Maybe one, if that.
And then he was gone.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
He messed on that, but you can't blame Belichick.
Way more hits than misses.
Yeah, way more. Way more hits than misses.
Way more hits than misses.
Oh yeah, he's Ichiro with the hits. Yeah, he Ichiro with the hits. So no, I really think you can't blame him for that.
Yeah. So listen, let's switch gears and go basketball, but we're gonna stick with this coach's topic for one more thing, and we'll switch to basketball. So let's talk about Steve Kerr. Let's talk about Steve Kerr as a coach. Is he a great coach? Is it more that he benefited from getting the job that was taken away from Mark Jackson? Chris, I'm going to you first, and then we'll go to Jay.
For me, I watched that Warriors team from the jump. Coming from the We Believe era. I'm watching Monta Ellis. They draft stuff, and I'm seeing them get better and better and better and better. I'm seeing them bring in Clay, bring in Harrison Barnes, bringing all these guys organically. We talk about that. Granted, they drafted majority of the key pieces. The reason why they won championships, majority of those guys were drafted. So I'm seeing them get better. I'm seeing, them going to the playoffs. Them being the Nuggets. I'm seeing them battle against the Spurs, battle against the Clippers. All of a sudden, Mark Jackson gets fired when everybody knows, and you got guys like Matt Barnes on that Clippers team saying we knew the Warriors were right there on the cusp. And then I feel like Mark Jackson got fired. They bring in Steve Kerr, but that roster was already ready to win. All Steve Kerr honestly did was make an adjustment, and I feel like Steve Kerr, he made a couple of adjustments, but I don't want to say he's a great coach because, the team he has right now and even last year, they underperform a little bit, and people are trying to give him a pass because how great they were when they were dominant. And I say this, it's not easy coaching great players because we've seen a lot of coaches, have very talented guys and not being able to get them over the hump. So he was doing a lot of things well. When you look at their roster, you look at their record this year and last year, it was too bad for them. For him to be called this great coach, it was too bad. They should have won a lot of games that they lost. He's not I think he's trying to, he's coming from Phil Jackson, coming from Greg Popovich, but I don't think he's that type of coach. Because they were able to coach bad teams and the good records. And I'm looking at Steve Kerr right now. I'm saying, you're a good coach, but I'm not putting you over Spo. I'm not putting you over Carlisle. I'm not putting you over these guys because you had like this team right here. We're gonna talk about a little bit later, so I'm gonna say some of the stuff I have to say. They're way too talented to be and have the record that they have right now. They have far too much talent, and people are trying to give them the pass because they don't have Clay, don't have all these guys. So you're saying he needs all stars to be successful? Because that's the narrative now. Steve Kerr is only a good coach when he has a whole bunch of all stars on his team, and that's the narrative right now until he changes. I don't think he's a bad coach, but I do believe, however, Mark Jackson was winning a championship or two with this Warriors team. I definitely believe Mark Jackson would have had the same type of success with this Warriors team because he was being innovative, having, 2-3 guys screen for Steph Curry to get his 3-pointer. He's being innovative when it came to that offense. Steve Kerr, allowed it to be a little bit, more open, but it's not like Mark Jackson was a bad coach. Everybody saw the potential of that team because of Mark Jackson. Steve Kerr, I feel like he did a couple things, but he's not, like I said, I ended up like this. He's not a bad coach, but he's not a great coach. And he's showing right now for me, he's not, one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah. They screw Mark Jackson.
Oh, for sure. And he's blackballed now.
He's a fact.
He's blackballed. It was screwed. He was screwed. It hurts, actually, watching and listening to him commentate because he's too smart to just be limited to commentating. He's too damn smart on the mic, breaking down every little piece of the game. And the other part to me is how he didn't get hired right after. I don't understand. But Kerr, I honestly didn't see much change in their game when Kerr came from Mark Jackson. The only thing I seen from Kerr to Mark Jackson is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I think their offense is way freer. And to me, that means you're letting players coach. Straight up, Steph Curry's the coach.
Nah, Draymond's the real coach.
No,
Draymond's put everybody in that position.
Draymond's the field general. He's the one that might check you if you're off.
He's the drill sergeant.
Correct.
Draymond, you watch the games. Draymond is telling everybody where to go. Steph is
That's
just
what I mean.
on defense.
Yeah,
That's what I
on
mean.
offense
He's the
too.
field general.
He's a
He
playmaker.
knows the X's and O's, but Steph is calling it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen. We all are in agreement here. Steve Kerr. See, the issue, and Chris, you nailed it, is that he doesn't take. We was talking about Bill Belichick earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't find the diamonds in the rough. He doesn't put players in position to play above their talent level would suggest. Like you said, last year they were a lottery team. It was literally an embarrassment like that. And then this year they're barely, and they're only missing Clay. You got a number one pick in Andrew Wiggins. That guy was the number one pick in the draft. He's no slouch. The guy's averaging, I think it's high 18s. Jay, you could check that out for me. But he's averaging probably 18 or 19 points a game. So there's really no reason for them to be, struggling to basically right now in the play-in tournament. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's the knock against Steve Kerr. Not only that, the 73-9 team to lose Game 7 on your home court. You had a chance to make history. And
won a lot of money that game, by the way. Just had to put that out there.
Yeah, he's averaging 18 right now, by the way.
18, I know, man. So the fact of the matter is that you had some crazy talent, and y'all made a run, and y'all won a couple of championships. But if the truth be told, they did not win. They should have won more. Like, there's no way they should have lost 3-1 to the Cavs. Mm-hmm. When you're supposed to be, you're 73-9 team. There's no way you're supposed to lose 3 games to the Cavs when you got coached. Yeah, exactly. And you got outmaneuvered because in that last possession they put Steph in that pick and roll to make him have to switch onto Kyrie. So, that was chess match, and you got to give Ty Lue credit. And that he outmaneuvered Steve Kerr, who was supposed to be, and they're both former players. So you don't have no excuse. You're a former player, so you have no excuse as to you not being a great coach.
Steve Kerr. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
I was going Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr definitely. He definitely has the IQ, but it's like coaches are being paid for the playoffs. Doc Rivers came here to Philadelphia to have this team be a better success in the playoffs. That's where coaches make their money. And so I'm curious to see how Steve Kerr is going to fare when Stephen Curry, retires. All these guys. Honestly, I don't think he's going. I don't
He
think
retired
be
with
there.
I don't think he's
Yeah,
going to
he
be a
won't.
coach much longer.
Yeah, he won't be there.
He's
I
gonna
think
I don't
retire
think
with
he's
him.
going to coach a rebuilding team. It's
No.
either, I'm getting a team that's, halfway there or already there, or I'm GMing again, or I'm going back to commentating. Because
Either I
from
get
what
a
I've seen
team
these
that has
past 2
Steph
years,
Curry and Clay, or I don't.
he can't coach a team that doesn't
That's
have
what
all stars.
they're
That
No.
for me is going to be his defining. Like, I understand you have to have some type of talent as to be able to balance out, but there's a lot of great coaches that made guys play better than what they actually are. And I'm like, we made that comment. I see him do it with a couple of guys. Like, he's doing it this year with some of the guys, making them play better and making them play in bigger roles, but he's not doing it enough. So I think definitely it's like these next couple of years are going to
Is
tell a
he,
big
though?
story about Steve Kerr.
Is he though, or has it been a product of their situation?
I mean,
Because-
Poole has been doing his thing. Lee,
But Poole,
To
Poole
me,
said-
Wiggins is the
Casco
same guy.
Anderson.
Wiggins is the same guy. He was averaging 18, 19 points in Minnesota.
No, can we talk about that real quick? To me, that bothers me because that is the reason why I'm on a negative spot. Because me personally, I said Wiggins was going to have a breakout year. Being in this Warriors system, I expected a lot more from Andrew Wiggins, and I feel like people say, "Oh, that's him. That's who he is." I've seen a lot of coaches change players, and I'm not seeing that right now with Steve Kerr. For me, Andrew Wiggins.
what about
18
Kelly Oubre?
Kelly Oubre.
Athleticism right now.
You right,
He's not-
but Kelly Oubre, Kelly Oubre worked his way up every single year to be better every single year. I still think this year he had a good season. Andrew Wiggins has been the same player. And so I'm thinking he's going to a team that has championship experience, a team with a great culture. So instead of this, I'm expecting to go like
He
this.
should have
Kelly
taken a
Oubre
step
has been
forward.
going up every single
Yeah.
year. I'm
I
not
think
seeing him
this
right now,
year he's
Andrew
been
Wiggins.
kind of level-headed. That's why I brought his name into it. Because look, I seen him in the Suns, and towards the end of the season, Oubre's on fire.
Oubre's a beast.
Oubre-
Oubre's a beast, but Andrew Wiggins is supposed to be top 5 small forward right now in the game.
And then also the other dude that I felt like was going to be doing a little bit better because of this team that he went to is Nico Mannion. He hasn't done to me. He hasn't
Too young.
done-
He's way
But he
too young.
can
Not like
still, you know how you look at a player and you can see the highlights. I don't even see flashes.
Yeah.
But I knew he wasn't going. I didn't even expect him to play this year at all. I knew he wasn't going to play right away with this team. I knew that from the jump.
With Clay being injured, you should be playing all the guards.
I feel you. I do feel you on that. But he doesn't have you see the highlights, but I don't think he was ready. Like he was fully ready to play a lot key minutes this year. I don't think he was ready for that. He has flashes some games where he shows you. That's what I'm proud of because some of the I've seen him go into games. He has decent spurts, but I don't think he's ready to get consistent minutes just yet. Next year, I do think he'll be ready. But just so far this year, I don't think he was ready to get those consistent 10 to 15, 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, I think the final thing about Kerr is the summation of this is that he doesn't get his teams to play at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about my team, Tom Thibodeau, we know as a coach that he gets his guys to play above their talent level.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere he's gone, Chicago, Minnesota, they became a playoff team. Now the Knicks, all these teams played above their heads. And that's the thing that's the indictment against Steve Kerr is that his teams don't play above their talent level, especially when the talent level is at the level that he had at that superstar level. So to me, he's like a Phil Jackson. He's a great manager of egos and managing the locker room, but he's not going to, outmaneuver. He's not going to out-scheme you. He's not going to out-coach your guy.
I think Phil over him though. Phil got the best out of those Bulls teams. Even though I feel you though.
What about the Lakers squad with Powell in them? I think Phil did a lot of coaching.
Phil got the Bulls over the hump because they were right there.
Even with Powell in them, Powell was a top. That was a top.
Oh, no, I feel you that he has the All-Stars.
Bynum was a top 5 center at the time.
Yeah, and I'm not taking that. I'm not saying that.
I
feel like he did a lot of coaching though. On that team during those championship years. I mean, Duncan and them were really giving them the fits.
No, I feel you. I feel you, Kenny. Where it's like All-Star, but I think Phil was here. He was here. You're right. But Phil was able to get more out of those teams. Those teams were hitting the wall. Like the Warriors, they were already on their way. They were not hitting the wall. They were still young. The Bulls were hitting the wall. The Lakers were hitting the wall until Phil Jackson came and changed the entire energy, changed the entire culture of those two franchises. That's where I kind of got to disagree. I feel you on that. He has the All-Stars, but Phil came and totally changed the culture of those two teams at the time. And I've really seen it watching a lot of Kobe interviews and even watching The Last Dance. They talk about how they was hitting the wall. Phil Jackson, he was on that coaching staff, and then they brought him, and they brought him over, and they saw the huge difference. I think we're not seeing that from Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr joined the team that was on his way up, and he just got on a ride. I don't know if we're going to be able to see Steve Kerr change the entire energy and entire culture from a franchise. I think that's the biggest question mark about him.
I think you're probably right. I'm just probably still mad about the money he stole from my Knicks.
Oh yeah, he robbed y'all blind. Oh my goodness, that was bad.
I'm a little jaded about
that was bad.
But yeah, let's stay with the Warriors and talk about them a little bit more. So we saw the young rookie, their top draft pick, James Wiseman, go down. So the question is, should the Warriors just go ahead and go into tank mode for the rest of this season, or are they going to, or should they compete for this play-in tournament spot? Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, they should be competing. With Klay Thompson coming back next year, you can put him on this roster with a healthy James Wiseman, and they're competing. So you put your players through the test without Klay, without Wiseman, and push them to the limit. And I'm gonna tell you something. Chris knows really well about what I'm about to say because he just dropped 10 threes on them and 49 points. The boy's on fire right now. Dude, he's Human Torch right now. Like he is flanked up. So why pull back? There's no reason. It sends a bad message. We were just having a whole segment about culture. That is horrible. So I'm telling my team, I don't believe in you. Hey guys, Klay's hurt. Come on, guys. James is hurt too. Yeah, come on in. Let's just wrap it up. No, we don't even need to sweat. Come on, guys. That's basically the message you're sending. So go out there, and especially to Steph. With Steph playing like this, what are you telling Steph? We just gonna wait. Don't shoot like that. Stop at 5. Stop at 5. You know what I mean? Like, you don't play that. So you let Steph flame until he's flamed out. And you drag Poole. You drag Nico. You drag these youngsters that you got sitting at the back end of the roster through the playoffs. That's what you do. So I think it'd be stupid for the organization to pull back at this time with Steph being as hot as he is. And what are they sitting at 9th right now before that game? Yeah, 9th. So you know what I'm saying? You're playing the Spurs. I think you're beating the Spurs. And then I told you guys already. I believe that if the Jazz finished first and Golden State finished 8th, Golden State was gonna knock the Jazz out in the first round, and they just lost Donnie Mitchell.
I fully agree with that. So
no, you don't pull back. 8 seed knocking out the 1 seed this year. Cinderella in the NBA.
All right, what you think, Chris?
Yeah, I agree with them only because this team is not like their team. I'm gonna throw a team out there like the Kings or the Timberwolves or the Thunder that really don't have goals short term really winning goals. This team, they're bringing back Klay. They're on some good draft picks next year, and they got some free agent stuff that's going on. They're in win now mode. So there's a lot of guys on this roster for next year, maybe a year after that are going to be a part of these championship runs that need to have some real experience of fighting towards the end of the playoffs, fighting to win something. Because last year they weren't fighting to win anything, but this year, right now, they're 2 games back from the 7th seed. This year, they're battling, trying to make the playoffs, which I think they have a great possibility to do. They have way too much talent on this team just to say, hold on, let's rebuild. I mean, hold on, let's just relax. Let's rest. It doesn't matter anyway. I would have loved to see James Wiseman on this run, but for guys like Poole, guys like Nico, the guys like Tuskegee Anderson, guys like Eric
Kelly
Pascal,
Oubre.
Aaron
guys like
Wiggins, they never been in the playoffs.
guys like Oubre, guys like Wiggins.
Yeah.
Other than everybody, I named all those guys for no reason. Everybody other than Looney, Draymond, Steph needs to understand and get this experience. I definitely think you play those guys and you let them rock out, especially with Steph. Me and Kenny talked about it before it started. I can never put Steph as the greatest point guard of all time, but he definitely skyrocketed as the greatest shooter of all time.
Oh yeah,
he definitely just
no question about
torched my Philadelphia 70. Oh, by the way, Ben Simmons wasn't playing, so it wasn't like Ben was guarding. Ben was guarding him. Go ahead and knock down some of them points. Not all. No, not all.
He'd have had 7 at least.
Right.
He'd have had.
The way he
would have got his 30. He would have got his 30.
Y'all gonna see this clip he did to George Hill to ice the game. It was magnificent. Point being though is that Steph Curry really is. He's fired. He's Mr. Flame thrower right now. Fire torch right now. You need to let him keep cooking and build upon this. And when next year comes, you get Clay. Cross your fingers that you get this Timberwolves pick. Cross your fingers that you can make the right moves in free agency. If you look at them, getting Clay, getting a couple pieces, they're right back into the top 5 seed. So these young guys need experience. You don't rest Steph. You don't rest Draymond. You fight your way to get into the playoffs. Because I'm with Jay. If they go against only the Jazz, anybody else they're losing. But if they go against the Jazz, go against the Suns, they're losing.
Yeah.
If they go against the Jazz, round 1, put in 100 on it. Give me the Warriors all day.
I'm there.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad. I agree with you guys. Yeah, they gotta make this push again for the experience. And one other thing, I just got to make a point about Draymond Green. I had tweeted and I posted about this on Facebook. Like, it's time for you to start locking dudes up. You're the self-proclaimed GOAT of defender. It's time for you to start locking guys up to seal this playoff run, to seal this playoff spot.
Someone should be getting off of the game saying, "I do not like playing against Draymond Green."
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and Saturday night was a prime example. Like Jason Tatum was lighting them up, and this dude was guarding Marcus Smart. Like, come on, man. You can't be talking about you the greatest defender of all time, and you playing off the guy that's coaching the team.
Yeah, you playing the guy.
He's the weakest. Right, he's the weakest offensive link. So if you're gonna say you're the greatest help defender of all time, okay, I might give you that. But the greatest defender of all time, and Jason Tatum is going to work, and you're not guarding him for one possession.
Yeah, we had guys like Tayshaun Prince swatting people from behind.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you had the guys, between the Shane Battiers, between the Tony Allens, all these guys, the Michael Coopers, the Dennis Rodman. You put those guys took the challenge. Like, they took the challenge head up of guarding the guys, the best player. Dennis Rodman used to guard Magic. Dennis Rodman guarded Michael Jordan. He guarded whoever's the toughest guy.
Draymond did that when they had. See, here's my thing. I feel you. He needs to take those challenge. But when I'm looking at it, and I'm not making no excuse, but this is just me. I'm like, all right. When they really had when they didn't, that their initial run championships, he was the best defender on that team. He guarded, the guy. Somebody was going off. They put Draymond did it. Draymond guarded.
He was guarding.
Draymond Draymond was way more versatile 2010 through 2017 than what he is now. That's what I'm trying to say. Draymond did take those challenges now, but now I'm looking at him. You got Kelly Oubre, you got Andrew Wiggins, you got 6'8" and 6'8", athletic, very good defenders. I'm not making no excuse. I'm just saying they should be able to hold their own. Draymond, I agree with you on that. If they're not holding their own, Draymond needs to take over.
You go.
No. Chris, what you're saying was true. Up until he said, "I am the best." When he did that, none of the other stuff matters. Because what's your job as the best defender of the team? To shut down the best offensive player of the other team. And you said you're the best ever?
Now, and I can understand, say, for example, and this is what bother me. Like, I could understand, like, say, This is a 5'9", 5'10" guy. You don't want to run around screens. This is, this. Now you want to chase a guy around like a Steph type of guy.
Yeah.
I understand that. This is Jason Tatum. This guy's 6'9".
He definitely should.
There's no reason. There's no reason that you shouldn't be guarding this guy head up.
I got
especially
two
when
people.
you're on Marcus Smart. Like, come on, man.
I got two people that make that irrelevant. Three people actually: Sean Marion, Lamar Odom, Boris Diaw. Those three move around the court and guard whoever, whenever, however.
Well, they were more front court guys. They wasn't guarding.
No, Boris Diaw
played
Draymond's more front court too, though.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like he was guarding more front court. They guarded front court guys, so that's what makes it even worse for Draymond.
Real quick though, shout out to Sean Marion. Way too underrated.
Played 5. He played the 5, man.
Are we being honest? Since we talk about it, if Sean Marion was in the league right now, it'd be on defense. It'd be Sean Marion and Draymond.
Oh yeah,
but I'll give Draymond this though. As a defensive leader, that's where he skyrockets a lot of people.
He's the best field general.
But, but that individual lock you up defense.
No,
not him. Who did he lock up?
He's better playing off the ball than playing on the ball.
And I think that's why he said that, because he feels like he's the best leader, and he's not a slouch individual defender. He just feels like he's the best leader.
He's not clamps though.
But he's not anymore.
Draymond's emotional.
Draymond's
emotional. He had a good game. He felt some sort of way. He came off that game with that emotion in his heart and spoke too much.
I take Draymond before I take a lot of guys in the NBA. So I respect him saying that for a lot of guys.
What a lot of when you say a lot of guys, like
at at that position. Ooh, I'm taking him.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this about Draymond.
Taking him over Pascal.
Honestly, I'm going to say this real quick about Draymond. Draymond is in the perfect situation because
for sure.
He has to be the guy on any other team. He's going to struggle. Look at last year when all those guys was out. Draymond, as in the words of Charles Barkley, he was getting a lot of triple singles.
That was never him, though. I can't expect him to do something he's never done his entire career.
That's my point. Is that he is bad. He's a very good role player.
He's the ultimate glue. He's the ultimate glue guy.
Ultimate glue guy, but he's not an elite player.
Shane Battier is a good example.
Yeah, sometimes he talks like he's an elite player, and like he's what Doc Rivers says. He's a star in his role.
All right, look. Okay,
I say he's a superstar in his role because he's talking about role players. Draymond is better than that.
Draymond is not a master at anything, but he's good at everything. He's good enough to be right there in the top.
Master of all trades.
He's a master leader. Skill-wise, but what? Master leader.
You say skill-wise?
I said skill-wise, but the leadership.
No, look.
The leadership is a huge factor. I think people are not taking that into account.
Great passer, great ball.
Draymond can dribble. He's
good passer, good ball handler.
He doesn't suck.
Not a good shooter.
He's good at everything.
Not a good shooter.
No,
except for that. That took a step back.
Not a good shooter.
But he's
a great help defender. Great charge taker.
Right. I'm not going to sit here and dog Draymond Green.
No. This is not a disrespect, but this is just.
But he's not that guy.
Yeah.
I say this. If they won that game 7, if you look at it, Draymond was the third best player on the court. The best player on that Warriors.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like you said, in that
if they won that game,
they should have won that series. If he doesn't get, suspended for that game 6,
they win in 5. They win in 5-6.
They probably win that series. But
if they won that game 7 off his performance, I think.
But but you was on the court for game 7, so I can't give you a pass. So you still
no, you're right. I'm just saying, I'm just giving him that credit because game 7, a lot of guys that supposed to show up didn't show up
at home. So
but a lot of guys on that Warriors team that were supposed to show up didn't show up like he did though.
Hey,
that's what I'm trying to say.
When you're the best defender, he should have just took it over and being the best defender.
Man, go card, Kyrie on that switch.
Clay.
Switch that out. You to go. You said you to go.
I understand. I don't think he's the greatest.
Let's see him step out on Chris Paul. Let's see him step out on. Let's see him switch sides and step out on Steph Curry.
He's not doing it all game. He can do it, but he's not doing it all game. That's what separates him.
You're a help guy. You're a charge taker. You're a communicator. No, for real. Your help guy, your charge taker, because he's not a shot blocker. He's not athletic like that to block shots. But you're a communicator. You're calling screens, telling guys where they need to
You're a
be.
pass forcer. You gonna make
He's
a
the
pass.
ultimate. He's the
Yeah,
he's the
ultimate,
superstar glue guy.
ultimate. Absolutely. That's a great point. No, that's real talk though. That's what we're doing. It's real talk here, baby. So listen, let's we did enough with the Warriors. Let's switch gears and let's the season is coming down to the wire. It's coming down to a close, and we're getting ready to get into the playoffs. So the question is which player is going to have the breakout season? Who's going to have the breakout in the playoffs? We saw last year, Jamal Murray. We saw Donovan Mitchell kind of have their breakouts in the playoffs. So who's the guy that you're looking at, Chris, to be a big breakout player, or players that you're looking at to be breakout players in this year's playoffs?
There's a lot of guys, but I'm gonna give two guys. My first one I'm gonna say Joel Embiid, only because if you look at Joel Embiid, but listen, hold on. If you look at him in the playoffs, outside of last year when he averaged 30, he's been very inconsistent at every single playoff run. If you look at him the first 2 years they went before we had the good team, he was one game, he'll give you 24, then he's giving you like 17, 18.
But that's 24. I mean, he's already pretty much had a breakout in terms of being an MVP this year. So
yeah, but we talking about the playoffs. We talking about the playoffs though.
Okay.
We talking about in the playoffs. He's never been for an entire series consistently dominant. He did it last year. We still got swept because no Ben Simmons. So, and you look at it when we had Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris when we against the Raptors, he was a no-show. So this year, I think with us being the number one seed right now, him being really in the MVP conversation, when you look at him, he has no room for error. He can't have 21, points, 21 shots in the playoffs. Things like that can't happen. He never had a breakout series yet, a breakout playoff run. That's why I have to name him in there, because you look at a lot of guys right now that's in the MVP conversation. Everybody had their breakout MVP playoff run. From the Dame went off, Jokic went off last year. LeBron, Harden, all those guys have done it in the playoffs and put up good numbers. I've not seen that from Embiid, so that's why I gotta name him. Now the other guy, I'm sticking with that Nuggets team. I'm going Michael Porter Jr. I think with Jamal Murray being injured, there's a lot more shots to go around. But now I think MPJ is going to be that main guy on the perimeter to get those end of the game shots. I love Will Barton and his ability to score. I think Aaron Gordon is going to get a little bit more shots. But when it comes to that 1 and 2 punch in the playoffs, I think it's going to now be MPJ and it's going to be Jokic. And MPJ being at 6'10", I know me and Jay talked about this. We talk about guys comparing to KD. Brandon Ingram. We all said it. But I think you look at it now, Michael Porter Jr. shoots just like KD. Michael Porter Jr. can go 5 for 8 from the 3-point line a game. He's a better shooter right now than me than MPJ. And so he didn't get the whole consistent yet. But I think this playoffs he's going to break out. I think he's averaging 20 every game. He can give you 20 and 10. He's being able to defend multiple possessions. I think he's going to have a breakout playoff run.
Hold on, Jay, before you go. John Suggs, Tatum broke out his rookie year in the playoffs, so I don't.
That rookie year, he broke out. So yeah. But I understand though, because we're looking for him. We look at him to score more 30.
No, definitely, yeah.
But he broke out in the playoffs.
Broke out
Even last year, he was very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand it, though. I understand it.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jack. With that. Yo, I'm giving 2 as well. I'm gonna start on the other side first, and I'm gonna go, even though he did already kind of have his his little dance. Drew Holiday.
I had him on my list. Yeah,
you know what I mean. New team, and he's working next to an MVP. And you say what you want about Drew Holiday. He's been quiet,
underrated.
He shouldn't be
really underrated.
Top 5 defender in the NBA. Second best guard defender behind Ben Simmons
in the NBA. And he's been like that for a while, and he's way underrated. But the thing is, how much respect this dude probably gets from the rest of the players, but how much he's gonna get from me, because he doesn't bitch and complain. Excuse my French. You never heard him nagging about them not making the good moves over there because they weren't making them. They weren't. And now he's playing next to an MVP that's playing like an MVP. Because let's be honest, Anthony Davis, the talent he had, he was lollygagging around in New Orleans, if you ask me.
They weren't. I feel you, but they weren't as talented as this Bucks
No.
team.
Oh,
And
no.
if
Not at all.
DeMarcus didn't get hurt,
Yes,
they going to the
could've made
Western
it run.
Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Not at all. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't think that he was playing MVP caliber basketball ever really with Drew. And now you look at Giannis, and he has that with Giannis next to him, and then he has a second fiddle with Chris Middleton. So he has a good team, and he feels that way. So
Yeah.
I really think he's about to go in this playoffs. I really think we're about to see him make a name for himself. Some kids start, talking about Drew Holiday because he doesn't get the respect he deserves. He's one of my favorite basketball players, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
I feel like I know who this next guy is going to be, and if it is who I think it is, I'm not mad at you at all.
I got a couple. Names.
Wait.
Y'all. Yeah.
Hold on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
You was right. You already knew that. That's why I started with him first. Devin.
Oh, we knew that.
I'm not mad at that.
This is his victory lap run, man. He finally made it to the playoffs, and he is about to paint somebody's face. I'm telling y'all, Devin Booker. He's a regular season 25, 26, 28 points a game player. And I'm telling you, in these playoffs, he's about to score 34, 35, 36 points a night. And Chris Paul's about to feed him. He's about to have like 15 assists a game. I'm telling you.
It's about to get nasty.
I ain't been hyped for Phoenix Suns basketball in a minute. I mean, I remember Steve Nash passing to Joe Johnson, Quentin Richardson, Amari Stoudemire, Sean. Like, it's been a while.
It has.
This right here,
it's nasty. I agree.
And as I say that, the way he won tonight, Devin Booker got fouled at the buzzer and hit the game-winning shot and the free throws. So I'm telling y'all, this year is it. And he's bought in, and Chris Paul is pushing this man to be successful.
I wanted to say D Booker, but I knew you were, and I didn't want to take your shine away because I'm in full agreement with you. This is his first time in the playoffs. He's about to show out.
He really is, man. And you can tell he's already heating up.
Yeah, well, he started this, in the bubble. He went on a tear, to try to get them into the playoffs, and that was without Chris Paul. So now you got a guy that's making the game even easier for him. So I was slipping on that. I didn't have him on my list, but here's the guy. I got a couple of guys that you guys haven't talked about. There's three guys. One, Ja Morant.
If they make it though.
They're in that 8th seed right now. So they're in that play-in game region, and that play-in game number. And they were in the play-in game last year.
I like it though.
It took the Blazers. It took
every game put up.
And they didn't have Jared Jackson. So I'm with you.
Right, Dame and CJ had to go off and knock them off.
Ja Morant.
So I got Ja Morant. I got Gary Trent Jr. I think him getting, kind of out of the shadow of Dame and CJ and being in Toronto, and they're also in that playing game, that playing game range. So I think he's got that. I think he's got that he's the shooter that can really go off.
More now, though. He's doing more than that 3.
Yeah.
He's becoming more than that 2-way.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more young gunner in San Antonio, Keldon Johnson. He's another one that's kind of really started to come into his own this season, and I think they're another team that's in that playing range. So I think those three guys are guys that have a chance to.
One other honorable mention that none of us said was R.J. Barrett.
I had him, but I scratched him. I said that I didn't want to be a homer.
But I really think.
Why not? We were all homers.
Yeah,
for valid reasons. It's not like we just said we want to.
And RJ is like, yo, y'all gonna put some respect on my name.
Yeah.
Because he's been really coming on this last week or so.
As I said at the beginning of the year, Kenny, Chris, Knox needs to go. I'm telling you, and more and more.
Yeah, he's gone.
Watch this team.
Yeah, he's not Thibodeau's type of player.
He should have been traded before the trade deadline.
He should have been traded because we all know Thibodeau likes to go 7-man rotations.
So. Yeah, he's sure. and Kevin Knox is not the greatest defender.
No,
with Tibbs, man, you got to be able to play.
If you can't play defense, you better be scoring 60 a game.
Yeah. So I think he's just in a tough spot. Yeah, I think the writing was on the wall when they drafted Obi Toppin.
Me too.
So I think the writing was on the wall for. And I wish Kevin Knox well because he played high school ball. My cousin Todd, shout out to my cousin Todd Strickland. They
I
played
want to see him in Memphis.
Catholic. So yeah, I would like to see him in a new
I would like
you know,
to see
kind of
him.
a new situation and to really, because the kid can shoot the ball. He's athletic.
He can score.
He can score. You know, he's got to become a better
Send him
defender.
to Phoenix. We like players like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he would have a. So, all right.
Wait, there's one more guy I want to name real quick. Only because we all know what he does in the playoffs, but he's on a new team that has championship goals, and they needed this guy. And we all said they should sign him in the offseason. Rondo with the Clippers. We all know what he does in the playoffs.
But
we said last year that they needed a point guard to get easy baskets because nobody understands how important easy baskets are for superstars. So Paul George and Kawhi getting Rondo. You know, Serge Ibaka, Morris twin, the Batum, all those guys are now going to easier shots. They have their point guard, floor general that can facilitate. He's showing that he doesn't care. He's going to put up his shots and he can defend. And you brought him Boogie off the bench, but you know, just on Rondo's point of view, I think honestly, like for me, it's the Lakers all day right now coming out the West. But I think honestly that now, no disrespect.
I'm gonna pretend like you didn't say it.
No disrespect. It's only because I haven't seen this team in the playoffs yet. But I said they were going to get there, and I'll pick Devin Booker for MVP in December. So trust me, I love your team. But for me, it's just like adding Rondo. I can't take them serious now. Like with Milwaukee, and you brought up Drew Holiday. I couldn't take them serious in year past, but adding Drew Holiday, I take them serious now. So that's why I had to really quick shout out. You know,
no doubt, because playoff Rondo is a real thing, and he got the cheat code on the Lakers, so he knows that he knows their MO, he knows what they like to do, and the guy is legendary IQ.
He gets mad when they call him playoff Rondo, but I call him playoff Rondo because a lot of guys have good regular seasons and fold in the playoffs. He's able to take the game to another level because of the IQ.
That's a compliment to him that he steps his game up in the playoffs. And John Suggs, you had a great one. That Trae Young is definitely.
That whole Hawks team. Yeah, people call me crazy for saying they'd be in the playoffs in the beginning of the year. I picked them as 6 seed. Right now they're at 4.
I said that back. When they picked up Gallinari and then Bogdanovich, I'm like, yo. They have
shooters. They got
Bogdanovich
is a double machine
right now. That dude is doing work. So if they put him in the starting lineup. All right, we're running out of time, so we got to go to our infamous rank 'em. We're going to back to the NFL with our rank 'em tonight. Close the show, and we're going to the running back position. All right, rank 'em. Eddie George, talked about him earlier, Tiki Barber, and Curtis Martin. Rank them.
Chris, you go first.
Y'all gonna make the young gun go first?
That's why I say you go first.
All right. For me, mine's a little biased. Okay. Just a little biased. I'm going Curtis Martin at 1. This is no disrespect. For me, I like complete backs that can do it all. And I feel like Curtis Martin was that. Not only could he dominate, in the running game, but he was, kind of guy that was definitely can do it in the passing game. If you put him in, this era right now, where running backs are, asked to do both, I think he could do it, with no questions asked. I think comparing him to backs now, you're looking like guys like CMC, Alvin Kamara that can do both. He's definitely that. 2, I have Eddie George. I'm a huge Eddie George fan. I think, when we talk about hard-nosed running backs, he's one of them. I think, he had a relatively short career, but running backs always have short careers. But you look at his career in the span of dominance he had, 1,300, 1,500 yards, double-digit touchdown seasons. He's definitely, in that, really talented, not even talented, really great running back conversation. And for 3, I have Tiki Barber. That's the bias in me, not liking the Giants. But I say this about Tiki. He was talented. He had fumble problems, but he definitely was talented. Retired too early. That whole scenario going on. I'm not going to take away of his talent, but for me, I think I could definitely have Curtis Martin at 1, Eddie George at 2, and Tiki Barber at 3. And by the way, this is the young gun, statement right here. I played with Curtis Martin and Eddie George at Matter. Tiki Barber, I ain't play with you. I play with Curtis and Eddie and want some money.
That's
Tiki
hilarious.
Barber, where you at? That's my young gun statement right there.
I'm not mad at it. Go ahead, Jay.
It's pretty much the same. Growing up watching running backs, Curtis Martin and Marshall Faulk, and my boy Larry Sinners, my homer. Those were like watching them being able to run the way they did, but still be able to come out, take a swing pass, and make it look beautiful. Because Curtis Martin, man, I don't know if you guys remember.
Smooth.
He looked
Smooth.
gracious
Smooth.
on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Smooth.
And that Marshall Faulk too. They used to just always.
Yeah, man.
I used to always just love watching them play football. So I got to go Curtis Martin. This next two, it was really hard for me. Eddie George is one of my favorites. The way he just gave it to people. He never really shied away. He had the speed to go, but he never really shied away from contact. He gave it to people. And I think Steve McNair and him really them two just really fed off each other very well. But I ended up going Tiki Barber. Because to me, the Giants, they were a really good team, but Tiki really was that motor. And without Tiki, the Giants didn't move. You know what I mean? Like, and you did it, Chris. You said you want an all-around back. Tiki got way more receiving yards and more touchdowns. And Tiki he was smart, and I think having a twin brother playing a secondary probably helped out as well. So I go Tiki and then Eddie. And there's no disrespect to Eddie at all. Like I said, he's my favorite. He's my favorite, like personal favorite out of the three, if I had to pick. So, yeah.
Definitely no disrespect. But for me, them fumbling problems.
Yeah. No, I get it. But I'm with you, Jay. Of course, Curtis Martin is the number one, the most complete back out of all three to me, because he did everything. He ran it inside, he ran it outside, he caught it out the backfield. He's short, goal line, short yardage. He can do anything on the football field in terms of from the running back position. He could do it, and he was durable. Like you guys already said, those two guys kind of had a shorter careers. So Curtis Martin was durable. You know what I'm saying? So he's definitely number one. And Chris, I'm with you. It was hard for me to pick a Giant for anything. And Eddie George had a cup of coffee with my Cowboys, so I got love for him. But yeah, I got to go because of that complete back thing. That's my separator.
He does have more receiving yards than both of them, so I mean, I give him that.
Yeah, that's why I gotta put. Yeah, that's why I gotta put
that fumbling problem.
But that's why I gotta put Tiki too. And Jay brought it up. Like for a few years, he was the Giants' offense. Like you had to stop Tiki Barber in order to beat the Giants, and I think that's part of the reason why he retired so early. Him and Eddie George, because they took so many lumps.
That workload.
That workload. I think that's kind of shortened their careers. But again, I gotta, as much as it pains me because there's no team I hate more than the Giants. Being from the New York area, I just hate the Giants with a passion as a Cowboys fan. But that's another topic for another day. But the fact of the matter is that I got Curtis Martin number one, Tiki number two. And in the close, in the hair by hair, I got him over Eddie George. Eddie George number three.
Eddie George was a bad man.
Oh yeah,
he really was.
And actually, he had the most playoff success. He had the most playoff success out of the three because he's the one that went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, if I look at the visuals though, it would go Curtis Martin, Eddie George, Tiki Barber. But when I look at it all around, it goes that way. I used to love
Tiki's underrated. I say that. I think
a
lot of people forget his name.
He had a few. The difference between him and Eddie George is that Eddie George retired because he couldn't do it no more.
Yeah.
Tiki Barber still had a lot left in the tank. He just chose to retire early.
And the way he retired early and how it ended, that's why when I say underrated, a lot of people, judge him more on that than actually him having over 10,000 yards and being really consistent throughout his career.
He doesn't belong to be that high up on the running back.
Oh no, I'm not saying he should be that high up, but I'm saying people talk about him You know, like they talk about a guy that played 3 years in the NFL and had 500 yards each season. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he should be talked about as a top 10 running back, but I mean, he's a guy that, okay, you had 10,000 yards in the NFL. You should get a little bit more respect than what you're getting right now.
Yeah, if you're talking like a decade team, like Tiki, you know, he's more, you know, talked about more in that decade that he played as opposed to his overall career.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, but yeah, man, another great show. Again, it's great to have a young gunner back.
Yes, sir.
So we'll be back with you Thursday. And remember, guys, make sure if you got a question that you want us to answer on the air, make sure you send those videos, you know, record it on your phone and inbox myself or the rest of the crew, and we'll put you on the air and we'll answer your question.
Definitely.
And if you want to smoke, we might even bring you into the smoking chamber.
Yeah, we definitely record those videos. Send it to the All Sports All Plays. You know, send it to the page. We're gonna put you on Real Talk. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, something like, you know, y'all you know, talk in the comment sections about topics we're talking about throughout the show. We want you to, you know, honestly start a conversation, start a, you know, topic for yourself. You know, ask us a question that's going to get us going, that's going to get us riled up. You know, especially on Thursday. Talk about how, you know, the Lakers are trash. You know, the players don't show up. You know, just piss Freddie off. Because I'll be honest, I am coming for Freddie.
And we will have the full game back on Thursday. It's been a minute, you guys. Tune in. I'm sure there's going to be fireworks, flamethrowers, all types of stuff going on in that show. You know what I mean? It's been a minute since we all been together. You know we don't know how to act, so it's got to go there, y'all.
We always go at Freddie's fat head at any opportunity.
No, but seriously though, yeah, no. Hey, share us, like this, get us on YouTube. If you haven't gone to our YouTube yet, go to the YouTube page, hit subscribe so you get to be when it's posted. If you missed the lives, you know what I mean. You can still get it that next day.
Yes, and that's where you're gonna start seeing some more exclusive Real Talk, you know, content on there, answering, you know, going for certain topics, the hot topics that, you know, people are scared to talk about. But here on Real Talk, we don't back down.
We don't care.
We don't care.
We're dealing with it all, y'all.
Oh, subscribe to the Facebook page too, so you can get the alerts when we're going live on Facebook.
Yes,
so make sure you like the All Sports All Plays Network on Facebook.
Like, follow, subscribe so you can get that notification bell. You can see when Real Talk goes live and the whole All Sports All Plays Network goes live. But it's been real, guys. I'm glad I'm back. Thursday, we're gonna be back better than ever. The gang is back and we're ready to explode. Everybody, we'll see you Thursday. Peace.
Adios.
All Sports All Plays. All Sports All Plays. All Sports All Plays. 365.